What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Integrative You Radio. And I am very excited about this topic today, mainly because you'll probably hear me get pretty fired up. So, I'm going to preface with this. This topic was provoked based off of two things that I saw on social media. One was a text-based post, and it was more like a chart, actually. And it had three categories, and it had your conventional doctor, functional medicine in the middle, and then it had your health and wellness influencer. And essentially, what it was encompassing was that your conventional doctor is saying toxins aren't real, parasites aren't real, infections aren't real, your blood work looks great. You must be depressed and anxious, and that's why you don't feel well. So complete gaslighting, telling you that what you feel is irrelevant and it's in your head. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have health and wellness influencers, perusing around your social platforms that are like, if you eat meat, you die. If you eat vegetables, you die. If you use these personal products, your hormones are screwed and you die. And it's like these two extremes. And clearly, this was written by a functional practitioner because, they said, in the middle is functional medicine. But I am actually here to challenge that idea and to be devil's advocate. And part of it is that I feel that with the way that functional medicine has gone and integrative medicine has gone over the years, because I've been doing this literally 13 years, 14 years almost. And I remember when we first got started, we were the weirdos. This was not a thing. Functional medicine was just becoming a little bit known. Integrative medicine was like, what is that? What are you talking about? But we dealt with a lot of skepticism, a lot of pushback, a lot of people telling us that we're crazy and irrelevant and we do voodoo weird shit and we're witch doctors, you name it, we heard it. But we weathered the storm, and now the market is very, very saturated, and it's a mixed fucking bag, guys. There's a lot of mixed information even when it comes to functional integrative medicine. I feel like a lot of people came to functional medicine in order to get the truth and get answers and get clarity and to be validated that their symptoms are real. But there's so many people that are breaking into the industry that shouldn't be in the fucking industry. So that's a topic. They're essentially medical doctors at heart, but they recommend vitamin D or they recommend supplements. And we're even putting things like bioidentical hormones into the category of functional medicine. That ain't functional medicine. The whole point is that your body knows what to do. Sometimes it just needs a facilitator, it needs a little support. So if you're using pharmaceuticals, you're not fucking functional medicine. You're not integrative medicine. That's not how it works. And I think that, the people that have been on the journey and they've been failed over and over again, they realize that what's moving the needle the most for them is working on their mind, working on controlling their stress, trying to eat food that has less fucking poison in it, and also trying to just work on minimal foundational things. But that's not to be worked on forever. It's just, how can I stabilize this thing that wasn't stable? And so it's like less is more is really what it comes down to. And we're finding that the strong, pharmaceuticals and the surgeries are the things that actually created the setbacks. So if you really know what you're doing in the functional and integrative medicine space, you do not need to ever dabble in pharmaceuticals. You don't need to dabble in any of that. Surgery is obviously has its time and place. If somebody's arm is dangling off their body, you need surgery. It's like that's a no-brainer, but there's a lot of surgeries being done for chronic pain and chronic conditions that are not actually benefiting the person, or they're benefiting only short term. So I derail as I do per usual. So going back to the reason why I'm doing this is one, the post I just described. The second one was a video, and I understand that this video was probably, well, I hope, for comedic purposes and also, to have a video that was going to draw in an audience, get more followers, etc. People tend to do extreme things on social for those purposes because we've been programmed for entertainment. I get it. I couldn't help but feel tadly enraged when I watched it. And it was a woman who was getting her hair done. And she was very big into health and wellness in her, as she states in her video. And she's been working on her hormones. And so she was like, "Oh, can you please not use that cream on my hair? Because you know how many chemicals are in there that will disrupt your hormones?" And then she proceeded to, okay, now they're washing her hair. "Oh, can you please use my shampoo? Because I've been working on my hormones and, all the chemicals in these products are going to mess up my." And I was just like, oh my God, I really hope this is for comedic purposes. And so the point of this podcast is functional medicine, integrative medicine, and functional medicine influencers or health and wellness influencers creating mental illness for the general population? And my answer, as you may think, is yes. And I'm going to tell you a story that I think is going to really help. As you guys know, I love to tell stories. But in my early days of getting into this industry of, functional integrative medicine, I will tell you straight up, I was not in a place to explore my mental and emotional limitations because I was still using my mental and emotional limitations. Let me explain. When you go through shit as a kid and you persevere past it, you use your will in order to surpass big challenges, to surpass poverty, to surpass abuse, to surpass, really shitty situations. You can use that as your drive. You use it as your motivator. And I'm saying motivator very specifically because it's not an inspiration or an inspire, it's a motivator. You can use it as a motivator to create a certain level of quote unquote success in your life. I say quote unquote success just because everyone's definition of that is very different. That could be money, it could be freedom, it could be a house, it could be a car, it could be a family, it could be whatever. So I was using my past challenges to create a successful career for myself. And, I used it in the sense of when shit got hard in business, things got scary of, can I even pay my overhead for this crazy business that I just built? Or I just got destroyed by some customer through writing a review on every review platform known to man, things like that, that really hurt as an entrepreneur. I was able to push past it because in my brain, failure was not an option because I wasn't going back to that old life. I wasn't going back to the life of my parents where they were just controlled by their 9 to 5 and life was about survival and they were barely making ends meet. And, we could barely pay for the house that we lived in. And, we had to eat really shitty food because we couldn't afford quality food. We couldn't go out to dinner, etc. Like I wasn't going to that life. So I used those experiences in order to persevere and say, no one's fucking taking me down. I'm going to do this. And for those of you listening, think about it. Maybe that has been something that has created a certain level of success in your life, a certain level of achievement. But the thing that happens is that you hit a plateau and you start to realize that using your will as a motivating factor to persevere can only get you so far, because it's really not about that. It's not just about hustle and overcome. It's about alignment, starting to make decisions that are more aligned, that are rooted in inspiration for you to be the person you're meant to be. So, how does this correlate to the original topic? So, in the beginning of getting into integrative functional medicine as a practitioner, I was very focused on the tangible things, the science, you can call it. And it was, this person has these biochemical imbalances based on their blood work. They have these symptoms. They have these physical issues, from scar tissue to old injuries to surgeries that are creating certain nerve blockages, et cetera, et cetera. And so I worked in that model. I worked in that model of being able to hone in on the things that they were scientifically valid. They were proven through labs. They were proven through a physical exam, and then worked on that. And then when we wanted to explain why these things were happening for people, why were they having gut issues? Why were they having liver issues or high cholesterol or heart conditions and certain diagnoses? And, it came down to, oh, well, it's because you were poisoned from the old profession that you were in. You were a mechanic, you were a hairstylist, you worked in engineering, you were exposed to chemicals. Oh, you don't eat organic. Oh, you had a vaccine injury. Oh, you had a physical trauma, like a really bad car accident. Oh, you had 4 C-sections. Like, there were all of these reasons why they had what they had. Oh, you have parasites. Like, oh, so on and so forth. And so working out of that model, it made sense. It was like, here was the cause and here was the problem based off of that. But of course, you naturally see that certain people will get better, and then there's a boatload of people that don't. And you start to ask questions of, okay, well, if this is the presumed root cause and I've been addressing it, why is this person not getting better? If their issues are, they have biochemical imbalances, they have low vitamin D, they have high cholesterol. And if we're working on addressing those, why are they not getting better? Why are the levels not changing? And really what it comes down to is that there's so much more. There's so much fucking more to it. And so in my own journey, I I had that experience. I had that experience that I was doing parasite protocols, liver protocols. I was doing hormone balancing protocols. I was doing all of these protocols, and, obviously would see results at times. And then other times just felt like, how have I been working on my liver for 3 years and my liver still has abnormal labs? Like, what the fuck is going on? This is exhausting. You know, how much money and time have I wasted? What's the issue here? And when you keep asking better questions, you come across answers. And those answers are not necessarily always in alignment with your current level of consciousness, your current level of understanding, your current level of, I don't want to say level, but your current belief systems. So when I started to realize that maybe the things that have been a driver for me, the things that I endured in my past, maybe they're now holding me back. Maybe it's time for me to stop using these biochemical and physical strategies. And maybe it's more about digging a little bit deeper. Maybe it's about a very foundational program, belief system, limiting belief system, trauma that's holding me fucking back. And that was a really hard pill to swallow. And I know that this, for a long time, was a really hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. And for some, it still is. But I do think that there is a little bit more talk now, especially post-COVID, of how significant stress is on the body, on your health, how significant it is when you live in fear, you live in anxiety, and how it feels really hard to get ahead in your health, get ahead in your job, get ahead as a parent, get ahead in anything. So, one of my biggest points here is that we need one, if you are, an individual who's not a practitioner, don't fucking work with those people. Don't work with the people that when you sit down for your review of findings, they give you like the horror story of how you fucked yourself up and everything you do is poison and everything you do is harmful and like you need to eliminate and change everything about your entire lifestyle because if you don't, you're fucked and you're going to be sick forever. Like that's not how it works. And this is one of the reasons why, when you look at other cultures, people always make comments about people in Italy, where I live now, people in France, and they don't ever go past the surface. They say, why can French people eat cheese and smoke cigarettes and drink wine and be skinny and be healthy? And, in Italy, how does everyone just eat pasta and bread and drink wine and they're healthy? And in America, you have all these people doing these trend diets, restricted diets, taking vitamins and supplements. You can't even get vitamins in Italy. I literally have to like smuggle shit in from the US. Like I can't even get things here. It's wild experience. But like people don't take them because they actually get nutrients from their food. That's a whole topic in itself. But if you look past the surface of these other cultures that have blue zones, which are, health, people are so healthy that they live past 100 centurions. And you look at just generally the statistics of health and disease in these countries, they're significantly lower than the US. And the reason being is because they are less stressed than us. They don't live in fear. Like that is something that I have observed for the past year that I've been here is like you do not see people running around with anxiety. Like it's so funny to me because where we live, there are tiny ass streets. Like I'm talking that you are in like a Volkswagen Bug and you have about a centimeter on each side of your car because that's how narrow the road is. And I'm not talking like there's like guardrails. We're talking like stone walls. Like it's intense to drive here. And guess what? Those skinny streets are two-way streets. So when depending on the position, whoever is closer to a driveway or something, that person has to back up and get out of the other person's way. Oh, it's wild. But still to this day, when we're driving and I will be like gripping the sides of, the car, the door, and I always notice that the Italian that, is driving and we end up bumper to bumper and like somebody's got to back up, they never even flinch. Like they're not like that doesn't happen. And I'm always like, damn, like these Italians are just so fucking chill. Like, how are they so relaxed all the time? People drive Vespas and scooters around here and they drive crazy. They split lanes, like they're on highways. And again, you see a car switch lanes and like almost clip a scooter and they don't panic. They just look at them and they keep going. And it's so interesting because it shows me that their nervous systems are so much more stable. They're not wired in fight or flight the way so many Americans are. When I was in America, like my kid he's a super freak. He knows how to swim. He was climbing stairs at like a little over 1. We just let him do his thing because we know that one, we taught him, you want to go upstairs, how to go downstairs. We taught him how hold on to certain things when you're doing hard stuff. Like His agility is insane, but he scares the shit out of people. But what's comical is when we were in the US, like we would like if we were out in public and he did something like that, jumped, climbed, etc., there would be random strangers, like moms or dads, running over thinking like he's gonna die. And then I'm just sitting there, I'm like, he's fine. And it does that doesn't happen here in Italy because they're just like clearly like their mentality is more like if his parents think he's going to get hurt, the parents are going to do something. And number two, kids get hurt sometimes. Like, you know, they'll be fine. So the point is that these cultures that we deem healthy, the root of their health is less stress, less hustle bustle, less go, 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 and less fucking pressure on themselves of you need to do, you need to go, you need to earn, you need to be successful, you need to reach a certain level of status in your life, in your neighborhood, in your job, in your family, etc. Like those pressures don't exist in a lot of other places. And I have a whole theory on some of the roots of that, but again, that's a pretty loaded topic. But I think it's actually a very interesting topic, so maybe I'll bring that to you in the next podcast. So essentially what I'm trying to say here is that there are people that are living their lives not thinking twice about what they eat. Again, other countries, food is significantly less poisoned, and there's no use of certain pesticides and acaricides that are allowed in the US. So yes, we have that layer, of course. But is it perfect? Do they not use any level of chemicals? No, that's not true. They definitely do. But they're smoking, people smoke like friggin' chimneys here. Like smoking cigarettes, drinking wine. Yes, the wine is more pure, it has less preservatives, sulfites, all that jazz. Yes, of course. But they're doing a lot of these things that have been deemed super unhealthy, but somehow they are healthier. And we can't just say, oh, it's less chemicals. It's the lifestyle. It's the less stress. It's the fact that these people are not in fight or flight. They are not anxious. They are not running on empty. They're not burnt out. They have more balance built into their culture. And they don't have to fight for time off from their job. They don't have to fight for those things because they're built into the culture. I'm living in the Sorrento area right now, fortunately, unfortunately, but for me, this is not going to be a place that I can stay long term because literally 3 months from December, actually 4 months, December, January, February, March, everything is like most of everything is closed. And it's because these people here in this area, because it's a tourist area, they work their butts off in the quote unquote season. The season's very long here because of the weather. When all the tourists are here, but then they all go to Thailand. I don't want to say all, but like literally a large portion of the people that live here, they all go to Thailand for anywhere between a month to 4 months. And then they come back and they work again. Like you could never ask for that in the US. I'm going to go away for 4 months. Or even if you own a business, like everyone would be like, "Oh, they closed." Like it's not common that people would go away. And like if I had my integrated wellness group still in Belmar, if I closed for 4 months, I would be almost rebuilding my business when I got back because it's not normal. Like people would be like, I'm finding another doctor. So, there's a lot of reasons for this, but overall, I do think that we need to get away from this bullshit of, oh, if you're not so strict and on an elimination diet and you've cleaned everything bad out of your personal products, your makeup, your body wash, and you haven't, replaced every single type of cleaner in your house. Oh, and also you should do a bunch of remediations in your house because you need to get rid of, old things that might have asbestos. You need to get rid of any lead paint. You need to get rid of the spray foam insulation because that off gases. Oh, and you got to get your house checked for mold. Oh, and then you need a full water purification system. Listen, do I own almost all of those things? I have water purifications, water distillation, I have air purifiers, I have all of that stuff. I'm still very particular in what I eat, but I find it so interesting that I'm living in a place where you observe people that don't have any of those things and are significantly healthier. And again, you can say, oh, less toxins in other countries. But is it really just that? So, the big point that I want to drive home in this podcast is, are we subscribing to this idea that all of this happened to us? I'm chronically ill because I was poisoned by the government and the food industry. And I was also given too many shots as a kid. And then I was recommended pharmaceuticals from my doctor that had side effects. And then I was given a bad surgery. And then also all of the, Monsanto putting all the GMOs in my food and, all the personal products that I've used that also put chemicals in there that harmed me. Are we just falling into being a victim of our choices, knowingly or unknowingly? Because if you want to get into the science of guilt, shame, victimization, it is the lowest frequency, lowest vibration emotions that exist. And what that means is that if you're going to live in that place of a low vibration, you're going to stay in fight or flight. You're going to have abnormal cellular function in your body. You're going to have pain and inflammation. You're going to have a lack of serotonin and dopamine. So, is this really benefiting us? These, influencers, these doctors that are telling us, like, you've been a victim of poisoning and toxicity and our conventional medical system and this and that. And, if you just cut all of this stuff out, you'll be fine. Because what if you're not? Because there's a strong probability you're not gonna be. Because I've seen it. I've seen it a million times. I've seen people go to the fucking deep end. Oh, I got my house checked for mold. They did remediate like hundreds of thousands of dollars remediation. I'm taking 45 supplements. I got my air purifier, my water purification. I got all my stuff. I only eat raw vegan. Oh, I only eat carnivore, and I get my meat flew in from Japan, and like, and I'm just like, well, how you doing? And I'm like, based off of everything you just described, you have to be in a level of psychosis because it's almost like neurotic to go to those extremes. And we could call it type A personality, we can call it all these things. Your nervous system is fucked. Like you can't operate that way in a calm nervous system because a calm nervous system pauses. It pauses to make strategic and aligned decisions. It doesn't make decisions out of emotion. It doesn't make decisions out of fear. It doesn't make decisions out of anxiety. So we have to really think about what are we looking at on social? Two, are we working with a practitioner, a coach, a doctor, a nutritionist, a dietitian that is of that extreme personality, of that extreme of, you know, don't do all of these things and life will be better? Are you also working with a practitioner that says, oh, this is a lifelong journey. You need to be super strict for the rest of your life. That's the only way you're healthy. Some people, like for me, I'll take supplements probably every day for the rest of my life. Like I just will. I find benefit in them. I'm able to get nutrients that I'm not getting from certain things that I eat. Yeah, it's a thing for me. But it also it's aligned for me. It's not like anxiety inducing or I don't want to do this, but I have to do it. Like I do it because I want to do it. And so when you're doing a bunch of things that you don't want to do, like you got to weigh out the pros and cons, the risks to the benefits. Because when you're constantly doing things you don't want to do, you constantly keep yourself in a bad mental, emotional, vibrational state. Hence, again, some people that get crazy diagnoses, like, they get told you only have 3 months to live, you only have 6 months to live, you only have a year to live. And these people say, I'm gonna go live my best life somewhere, and I'm gonna drink and eat, and I'm gonna laugh, and I'm gonna enjoy, and I'm gonna say, fuck it, I'm gonna spend all my money. And then they live past their prognosis because they just finally calm their nervous system down. So, this whole idea of placebo effect, we've heard of it. It exists for a reason. Placebo effect is just they always test a medication, even a supplement against a placebo. And the placebo is that they never gave you the medication. They never gave you the intervention. They just gave you the idea of it. They gave you a sugar pill and said, this pill is going to change your life. And you took it and your life was changed. And it's because you believed that it would. It's not because of the biochemical change. It's not because of the effect of the actual pill. It's because you thought that it would work. That alone should be a huge, huge light bulb for you. How do you think about your health? How do you think about your life? How do you think about yourself? And if you think in a state of anxiety, then what is that being influenced by? Is it being influenced by the shit you see on social media? Is it being influenced by the practitioners that you choose to work with? And so if you change your mind, if you change your belief systems, if you surpass past your old programs that have been running in the background holding you back, there's a lot of magic on the other side.